PCA for like 13 years or something crazy like that. I don't really remember. But I'm probably just going to share a lot of my testimony, and I'm going to say a lot of stories because I'm not going to be as formal. I'm just not a formal person. I'm not dressed up or anything. So the biggest thing that happened to me is going to PCA in the first place. And so I always liked this school. I came here since I was in kindergarten, and it's been really lit, and the really big influence in my life has been my real dad. He's always had a lot of like issues with bad things, and so my parents aren't married anymore because of those. And the biggest thing for him was drugs, and so he got into a lot of drugs whenever he was little. He started smoking pot whenever he was like 11, I think. And so he's been on hard drugs and all these kinds of drugs for a very long time. And so I got really close to the mic. And so he started to make a lot of bad decisions whenever I was younger, and there was a lot of those didn't affect me because I had no idea about them. And so he wasn't really raised right, I guess that's what my mom always told me. And so he taught me all these things, all these inappropriate things, and all these things that I should do. He told me that I should try it, and I should try drugs, and all these kinds of things, because he didn't care, and he didn't think that it was that big of a deal. And so a lot of that affected me negatively and positively, because I'm not doing those things, and I decided not to, and I told him I wasn't going to. But my journey with Christ started whenever I was 6 years old, and that's whenever my dad started influencing me the most. So I accepted Christ whenever I was at Camp Thurman, and I love Camp Thurman. I work there now, and I love every single second of it. And I accepted Christ whenever I was 6 years old there. That whole week, my counselors talked me through everything that I had issues with and all that kind of stuff. And so I grew stronger with Christ every single day and every single week, just through the fact that I get encouragement through my mom and through my stepdad and all these different things. And I love Camp Thurman, and I love all these things, but I love Christ the most. Out of all of the things that I get to do, I get to still pray to Christ and know that everything that I say to him, he will go to me, and I can be okay with that, and he can be okay with that. He's not going to judge me for that. And he's just going to love me eternally. And so what I'm going to say is that we need to surrender to him and give all of our problems to him no matter what. And I surrendered to him, and I said, please help my mother make the right decision, because at this point I was 10 years old and my mom still hadn't made a decision to divorce my father. And so I asked, please help her to make the right decision. And so she made that right decision, and she went right to God, and she had been going to marriage counseling and all these kinds of things, and they would go to marriage counseling and he wouldn't show up because he was doing like all these kinds of things. But he got a back injury, my father did, and he started to do pain pills. So now he has an excuse to get high off of drugs. And so he would always buy an extra dosage, and he would always like eat the pain pills. He wouldn't swallow them, he would eat them because he got so used to them. They got divorced finally, and 2 weeks after that, my mother started to date my baseball coach. And my baseball coach was a really big influence in my life, and he's really awesome, and I loved him with all my heart. And I didn't think that was right. I didn't know 2 weeks after was a good decision, but I talked to my dad about it, and my dad always gave me all these bad things and told me that she's a horrible person, and he kicked her. He told the church that all these bad things that she'd done, and they kicked her out of my church. And so I was at the church by myself a lot, and so I left that church because I didn't have anybody to go to, because my dad never went to church, so he just kind of dropped me off and left me there. And I would go to church, and I would think, why is this happening to me? Like, why is my dad doing this? And so I just grew apart from God, and I started to like not want him anymore. I started to like not wonder and all these kinds of things. And then I realized that what my stepdad and my mom had done was for me. Like, I needed my stepdad. He is a strong person, and he was the person that helped build me to be the person that I am. And I also have a brother who had really bad anger issues. He would like beat stuff up and like all this kind of stuff. So we needed him, and he's a big man, so we needed him. And so because I'm not, so we needed him, and I needed him, and my brother needed him, my mom needed him, and so. But my stepdad, he's a very strong person. He's strong in God. He's strong in all these kinds of things. He's patient. He's a police officer. He does all these kinds of things for the community and for me, and he loves me, and he loves everything. he's just such a nice person. And I went over to my father's house like very regularly still because I felt like I needed to split the time up normal, and I didn't. I didn't need to do that because he was tearing me down mentally with what was happening. And so my stepdad, Zach is his name, he would always help me and talk me through, because I'd come back from the weekends and I'd just go home and I'd cry because I didn't know what to do with my father. I didn't know what to say or what to think or what to do with all of these things that he was telling me. And so I'd go home and I'd cry to him, and he would always comfort me and always be so nice to me. And I continued to go regularly all the way up until about like 2 months ago. And I showed up at his house, and he got really mad at me, and he like broke a baseball bat in the house, like over like a pillar. And so he got very mad, and he did that. And I went outside and I called my stepdad, and my stepdad came and saved me, pretty much saved me, I guess you could say. And he came and got me from that house while my dad was like beating stuff up. And I came to my dad and I said, Dad, I'm not going to come over to your house anymore. I can't do this. I can't go through all the emotional torture that you're putting me through. All of the therapists that I went to told me that he was mentally abusing me is what he was doing. So I told him that I wasn't going to do it anymore. And so then I had to pull, he was crying, so I had to pull my crying father off my shoulder and go home. And whenever I went home, on my way home, I just sat in the car and I cried for 30 minutes straight without stopping and my stepdad was there right with me the whole time. And I cried nonstop. And at that moment, that's when I realized that I needed to surrender to God, and I needed to give him my life again. I needed to get all of the bad things out of my life and including my father, which was hurting me so much. And so I decided to come back to Christ and to do all these things. This is 2 months ago, and I have just decided to be happy. That's what you have to do, guys. It's just surrender yourself to God with whatever it is that's going on. You just have to surrender to him. So he will, whether it's drugs or all these things that could be happening to you, you just have to surrender to God, and he will help you. He will do everything that you can. Just like Bailey said, the power of prayer is so real, and it can help you so much. All you have to do is just go to him and surrender to him and love him, and he will love you just as much or more, and he will do all of these things. So you guys just have to surrender to him and love him, just like I did with my father. And I still talk to him. I mean, it's only been 2 months, but like I still talk to him and all these kinds of things. But he's not gonna try to get better. That's what he told me. He said he wants to keep on doing these things, but he's not gonna try to get better. So I should try to help him, but he's not going to. But just surrender to God in whatever it is.